fine ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anthony Scholars, and welcome to my show, No Women in Heaven. On the website, nowomeninheaven.com is where you can purchase our book that is going to be very detailed, and it'll have more than just explaining why there's no women in heaven. Also, we have our hats, t-shirts, and also coffee mugs is where you can purchase these items. Okay, today's topic is anti-Semitism against black Jews. We hear a lot of anti-Semitism talk in the news and being against anti-Semitism, and I stand the same. I'm against anti-Semitism, but I'm against anti-Semitism against all Jews. And nowhere will you find anti-Semitism against black Jews is in Christianity, the Christianity church, the Christian church. And let me explain. We already know when we open the Bible, Isaiah 3:16 explains what these black Christians are going to look like, because it is talking about the daughters of Zion, who are the African American women, black Jews, and it explains in Isaiah 3:16 how they've been cursed with baldness here on the forehead. So this defines that we know these are black Jews. From this scripture, which is in your King James Bible, which Christians push, they will not acknowledge these black Jews in the Christian church. Why? Because they're stealing from them. There's no incentive to acknowledge these black Jews. It's no incentive to tell them that you're a chosen ones, because if you do, you cannot steal from them. The government cannot push cocaine in your neighborhoods. The government cannot push guns into your neighborhood. The police has to stop shooting you down. You understand? So, to enable the society itself to continue this behavior against black Jews, will just remain silent. Let me go ahead and give you a definition of what anti-Semitism is. And let me explain. Anti-Semitism, and this is off the internet, is hostility, prejudice, discrimination, or hatred directed toward black or Jewish people. So it doesn't matter whether or not they're white or black Jews. This here explains what anti-Semitism is, as a religious, ethnic, or cultural group. So we know that there is anti-Semitism against Jewish groups in America, but there is no type of organization that will help the black Jew. The white Jew has the Anti-Defamation League, so they can call them up and they will respond. But the Anti-Defamation League will not assist black Jews, won't even recognize them. Because if they did, they would stop the heinous acts that are happening to them. Now, let me explain something to you. When we always hear Israel, Israel, you're always thinking of a state, a country. But let me explain something to you. Genesis 32:10 or 32:28. The first instant occurs where the being says, and it's saying a being, but it's Jacob was wrestling with the spirit. Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel. For you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. So you've striven with Yahuwah, who you call God, which is a title, and you have won. Also, it reaffirms this in Genesis 35:10. And you say, what does that mean? If your name is Bob, and you're no longer called Bob, you're now called Billy. Is Billy a country or a person? And that means all persons connected to this individual is going to be referred to as the group or the tribe of Israel, not the state of Israel. What you're saying is that wherever these people are, you can say, okay, that's their country, and that would be referred to as the state of Israel. But you have to remember, Israel is a name of a man who was Jacob, not a country. So anywhere we have these people, Israel, or this group who's tied to Jacob, whose name is now Israel, they are Jews. They're chosen ones. We understand this. And my Bible does not have the letter J, so they're not referred to as Jews. They're referred to as ivory, worth more than gold. And this is why in your King James Bible, it does not explain the word ivory. It just says it means you're worth more than gold and that you're a Christian. But no, it would be referring to the children of Israel who are Jews, but actually my Bible refers to them as ivory, worth more than gold. So since we have a clear understanding that it's not a state or a country called Israel, it is a group of people. Why? Because Jacob's name was changed to Israel. And since Jacob's name is changed to Israel, it does not mean that Jacob is now a state. It means that he's a person, and all people connected to him is going to have the same status. You understand that? This is why you act like a parrot in Christianity, and all you do is go around repeating what you've heard. Never actually reading for yourselves and trying to understand your own self and asking Yahuwah to bless you with this wisdom and understanding and this knowledge so you can understand what you're reading. Now let's continue. Okay, so we already have the definition of anti-Semitism, and we know that it's towards Jewish people, and we know that we have white Jews and black Jews. Now, let me continue, because we're referring to black Jews. Anti-Semitism towards black Jews, nowhere is it greater than in the Christian church. Will not acknowledge who they are, will not tell them who they are, will continue to keep stealing from them and leaving them on welfare. Can you imagine a white church taking a collection for a bunch of black people? Can you imagine a black minister going through his church, taking a collection and then saying, oh, right here we've got some black Jews, these sisters and their children, and we're going to distribute some of this money to them? That sounds foolish, doesn't it? Because it is. Because what they're doing is they're stealing from them. And by being silent on who they are, it allows you to steal from them. Put cocaine in the community, guns in the community, refer to them as thieves and whatever else. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so it can appear in many forms, anti-Semitism, including stereotypes, exclusion, harassment, violence, and conspiracy theories against black Jews. Okay, stereotypes and conspiracy theories, saying that black Jews are thieves, are criminals in the media or the government. That's the mindset. The media takes it and runs with it, but someone has to give the media approval. The government. Because the government is the one that issues all licenses to media for them to be able to transmit and whatever else. So if they were doing something too derogatory, they could have their license pulled. So if media, TV stations were to come out and start bad-mouthing white Jews, the government would pull their license. But as long as they're talking about black Jews, they don't have a problem with it. Let's continue. And it's called the FCC license is what it is, Federal Communication. All right. Harassment or discrimination against black Jews, excluding someone from a job, school, or community activity because they're black Jews. Mocking black Jews, practices like wearing cornrows and braids. Well, they passed a law in California that it is illegal to discriminate against these women who have cornrows or braids. But again, and let's be clear. On these slave ships, you had black Jews and you had Africans. Okay? So we understand there was two groups. But Christianity wants you to believe there are no black Jews. There are only white Jews. And one reason I know is that my son is a minister, my oldest son, will not mention to his congregation that there are black Jews. Why? He has not been given the authority from the right white Christian church yet to be able to tell the congregation that we have black Jews. Because the authority in their teaching comes from white Christian churches. They're the ones who taught these black ministers how to act, how to teach, and what they could say and could not say. And there's a history on that, where there were ministers who tried to teach on Saturday. They would actually take these ministers and take human feces and stuff it down their throats. If they survived, they never would teach on Saturday again. So Christianity, to get to the point of Sunday, it caused a lot of death to get there. Because these Africans that came off slave ships and these black Jews were used to worshiping on Saturday. They had to stop that, and they stopped it with death, threats. Let's continue. Okay, we're looking at anti-Semitism, different ways from stereotyping and conspiracy theories, harassment and discrimination, vandalism and hate symbols, spray painting the N-word on churches, cemeteries or black Jew businesses, defacing black Jewish gravestones or setting community centers on fire. Most of this is taken off of the internet and it's describing white Jews. But all you had to do was put black Jew in here, take away synagogue and put church, and it's hitting right on the money. That there's nowhere it's more anti-Semitic than in the Christian church. Anti-Semitic against black Jews. In order for you to stop anti-Semitism against white Jews, you'll have to stop it against black Jews also. Let's continue. Violence or threats. Physical attack on black Jewish people because they're black Jews. Here come a black walking down the street. Hey, you in the wrong neighborhood. Hey, you in the wrong community. Hey, who said you people can be up in this club? So you attack them. You know you're attacking a black Jew. How do you know? Because I just told you, on the slave ships you had black Jews and Africans. We know from Isaiah 3:16, it describes a black Jew, and it's talking about the female being cursed. And from this knowledge, we have a clear understanding that black Jews exist. The only problem is we're going to be silent on this because we don't want them to know who they are. We don't want the church to have to start taking offerings for these people. We don't want the federal government to stop putting cocaine in their neighborhoods, guns, and locking them up in prison, giving them the worst schools, worst housing, poor water, bad food. Why are you going to stop all this? Because Jesus saves, right? Well, Jesus isn't saving the black Jew. And Jesus cannot save you if you're doing something to the black Jew. Now let's continue. Now you think about that. Jesus is Jewish. You're discriminating against the black Jew, and then you hollering his name. Even Jesus has to say, what? You telling me you love me, and you know I'm Jewish. You hate these black Jews, but love these white Jews, and you expect me to do something for you. No, you have to love all Jews. You have to help all Jews. And you have to protect all Jews. Now you're protecting all of Israel. And remember, Israel was not a state. It was Jacob's name who was changed to Israel. That means all people associated with him is from the tribe of Israel. Wherever these people are, you're to protect them. Whether they're in Africa, which you call the Middle East, but it's Africa, or in America, in Europe, anywhere around the world, we must protect them. Okay, what I'm explaining to you, anti-Semitism, definition, and examples of anti-Semitism. In each of these, we're hitting on the money. We know that black Jews are stereotyped. We know that black Jews are harassed, discriminated against, denied job opportunity and promotion. We know that black Jews experience the N-word spray painted on their churches, businesses, and whatever else. We also understand that black Jews experience violence or threats. We also understand that black Jews have to deal with denial or distortion of the slave trade. What do you mean? Claiming the slave trade didn't happen or cause harm. There are some that says, oh no, there was no slave trade, or it didn't cause no harm. Or that was my great-great-granddaddy. But just because I'm sitting on $1 billion from the slave trade don't mean I had nothing to do with it. That's the thought. Similar to Grandpa selling alcohol during Prohibition, making $200 million off of selling alcohol during Prohibition, meaning it was illegal. And being able to flaunt what Grandpa did in society and even be elected to President of the United States. The Kennedys, they admit it. They knew Dad made money off of bootlegging when it was illegal, which would be no different than, let's say, if Grandpa was dealing pounds of cocaine. It's looked upon differently. Oh, that's alcohol. Oh, that's cocaine. No difference. It was illegal. And still being able to boast about it, what Grandpa did or Dad did. The only problem is the family reaped the repercussion of it from death. And if you were out selling alcohol when it wasn't supposed to, pushing dope when you weren't supposed to, there's a chance somebody was killed or murdered behind your behavior. So what is the result? Punishment. Bringing it up on the family. Let's continue. Okay. We understand that black Jews suffer anti-Semitism when you're holding individual black Jews responsible for actions caused by African Americans. A black Jew is not an African American. You may describe him as that because when you call him an African, it allows you to refer to him as just a slave. You understand? That's why they use the term African American. Oh, you African Americans. You don't refer to Jewish Americans as white Americans. You refer to them as Jewish Americans, right? Well, then how come you can't refer to black Jews as Jewish Americans? Why they have to be termed African Americans, as if they're all in the same boat? But yet we notice the difference between Jewish Americans and white Americans. Let's continue. Harassing black Jewish persons because of political events in America. Obama gets elected. Oh my God, we got to go through their neighborhoods, setting fires. Oh, they fixing to take over the country. You know what I mean? The mess that many of us black Jews had to experience when Obama was in office. Obama didn't do anything for black Jews, nor African Americans. He didn't do a doggone thing. He did something for homosexuals. Let's put it. That was his arena. Fighting for homosexuals. He did not fight for black Jews nor African Americans. So I don't know why much of society was against black Jews or African Americans, because he didn't do a damn thing for us. Okay, let's continue. Okay. Demanding that black Jews explain or apologize for crimes they have no connection to. African American goes and robs a bank, heinously beats somebody in the bank, which means if it's a non-black, it's going to get publicized. If he was to go into a bank and was to take his gun and beat a African American or a black Jew, the news wouldn't even hardly even, oh, well, he just went in and he was heinous and he hurt someone. But if that person is non-black, oh, they're going to publicize. Oh, he went into this African American went into the bank and just started beating on this white guy, or started beating on this Asian person. They're going to announce who he was hurting. But if the person is African American or a black Jew, they're not going to mention it. So this is why when something is done that is heinous, like let's say what OJ did, they're going to blame all black men for that. We have nothing to do with it. They're going to blame black Jews and African Americans. Why? You look like him. They don't do that on white Jews. Let's say a white Jewish person goes steal $100 million. They don't go and finger point all white Jews or all Jews as criminals. But let one African American do that, and they're going to blame the black Jews and the African Americans for what this person did.